Education, Laurie Kilmartin.
Yeah, it's happening. Yeah,
Here we go.
we're doing it. It's all coming together. I'm doing a show. Flappers headlining on Friday the 12th,
Oh, good.
and I've told no one. So this is me beginning my PR blitz.
The push. Yeah.
This is it. You guys are feeling it?
Is it Friday night?
Yes, Friday
All right,
the 12th.
that's great. That's great.
Yeah, and I'm also doing a benefit for Roger Feeney's club in Ann Arbor. But that's at 5 o'clock.
I would do a benefit for Roger Feeney.
Okay.
I had to cancel a week for Roger Feeney. We were supposed to do something, I think, in October.
Yeah, for sure. We should totally.
So is it on the bubble or something, or?
Yeah, the club's troubled. The club is troubled. Yeah, it's fucks. Because it's one of the indie ones, right?
Yeah, like these chains can absorb anything, apparently, but the indie clubs are struggling.
You know, I was having this conversation, and there's a store in my neighborhood called LED Bulbs Supply.
Yeah.
It's called it's something like LED Light Supply. And Andy went in there one time to find light bulbs, LED light bulbs. And the one Armenian guy that was working there, my people, could not have been more surprised that there was a customer. And that
he was washing money and your husband interrupted him.
Which is what I think might be. This seems like a tax dodge. These chains of comedy clubs.
Oh, I was going to say, I except for you, you're the only Armenian business person I think is legit, honestly, and I apologize for that. I'll try to update my thinking.
That can't be true. That can't. I know any number of honest Armenians. I know it's you know what it is? It's the tracksuits, and
not helping.
Not helping, and quite honestly, here so many immigrants, and immigrants have of all kinds. Nobody came here on purpose, right?
Right.
And so everybody is kind of scrambling.
Well, it seems like Armenians went to Glendale on purpose. That seems like a targeted, was Glendale advertising in Armenia? They did tend to congregate.
They all probably wanted to go to Beverly Hills. And they ended up in Glendale.
Yeah, you're on the way to Beverly Hills.
Sure are. Yeah.
You're two marriages away from Beverly Hills.
And 38 miles. So, did you see I'm jumping all over the place because I don't have a lot of a big plan here. But Danielle Perez and a couple other comics, The Real Housewives of Zoom.
I saw it on our chat. I haven't watched it yet. Is it just
all I saw was the trailer, and it was. And so I don't know how real it is, or if it's just a trailer, or what the hell's happening.
It's a great idea.
But I laughed my fool head off, and I don't have all the information. I can't even remember the other comics. I just remember Danielle, and because she plays someone who hosts this Zoom thing, and one of the other comics is Mrs. Zoom.
There is a Mrs. Zoom. There is one. And she's pretty happy about Corona. I'll tell you that.
I can't tell you how funny that is to me. But that is not my joke, but just made me laugh a whole lot.
Yeah, seems good.
I was too tired to do a show today because of the scheduling of this day.
Yeah.
Sunday services, usually on a Sunday.
Yes.
Couldn't face it. Couldn't deal because of.
It's a lot to put together every Sunday. I mean, the fact that you keep doing that is so impressive to me.
Man, the tech. This week I decided to join TikTok. Yeah.
I know a couple Gen Xers who have made that announcement, and they all seem reluctant and hesitant.
Do they seem exhausted? Do they seem?
Yes.
Because I also joined Reels.
Is that
I'm doing Reels
Twitter.
on
That's
Instagram.
On Twitter, right?
Instagram.
Oh, it's on Instagram. What's Twitter's thing? That was a copy of Reels.
I don't know. I'm also, but I have been posting on Twitter, every day I do like the bedtime, I do a comedy clip, right?
Mm-hmm.
And on Twitter, which could be up to something like 2 minutes and 40 seconds, which is about the shortest my jokes run. Reels are 15 to 30 seconds on
Mhm.
Instagram. TikTok is 1 minute. So one of my jokes on Instagram is 4 or 5 reels. And I'm like, you guys still paying attention? What's happening? So I have to clip them down to some sort of funny-ish 30 seconds and then post them. And I just do it once a day. It takes about, I've got sort of a regimen, but it takes a good hour 15.
That is
to do
heroic. Yeah.
And then this week was also the week that I tried to learn how to do clips for this show.
I thought you were kicking ass for this show.
Well, what I did was I used the essentially the Postmates, the Instacart, the Lyft, the gig economy version of captioning, rev.com.
Right.
To speaking of which, I'll need some money from Patreon. But I just did a test, and I just did a test episode, right? To see how the captions came out, and they looked all right. And then I got online with a guy about how to make an overlay, which will put, like, you remember what Jed was doing for the Jackie and Laurie Instagram?
I don't know that it was called overlay, but
Well,
yes,
the overlay is just an image that goes over. It sort of borders the video with more information, like what the show is, and yeah. So he said he would make an overlay for clips for me, and
that you can just refill every single time.
Yep. Yeah, as a template. And then there's something called headliner.com, which supposedly will
What? Headliner.com? Seriously?
It's not headliner.com, because headliner.com actually is a domain for sale. It's headliner something, though.
Oh man, that is a fucking great domain. Headliner.com.
If everyone could, if that could become, just buy that and then point it to LaurieKilmartin.com.
Ah, the Jackie and Laurie Show.
And just the comics of the week.
Which I updated this afternoon.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. So super fun.
That's a lot of work. I'm part of me is like, well, maybe I'll have to figure out a comedy career that doesn't involve tons of video, because it's just not. It's not my love. It's not my nature. And I mean, I like tweeting, so if that feeds into what I like to do, but all this other stuff, I can't see dedicating hours to it.
You know, Tiff Stevenson, obviously, right?
Yes.
She's the one who encouraged me with the TikTok, because she does a recurring thing, and she puts it on Instagram too, but she writes men as if she were a man writing a woman.
Right. Yeah.
In literature.
Yeah.
So she's constantly describing, like, some dude's calves. Like, and he's just like, well, you know, his ball sack, it was hanging low, but I was in on it anyway. I was in for it, you know?
That's great.
It was like a little droopy, but I'm in. It was so I don't know what this is. What is a lot of hand gestures happening?
Jackie, you're ready to go back out on the road. I can feel you. It's bursting out of you. You need to be on stage.
I'll tell you, the great thing about those clips is that it reminds me of old bits, and it reminds me of what audiences sound like.
Yeah.
when I'm in a room with them.
Yeah, I had very few shows this week. The show I did have that was really fun after our show on Monday was Alexander Malt had a show on Saturday night last night, and it was a lot of fun. And Kostaki was on it, and
cool.
Yeah, and Augie Smith, they were both cracking me up, and Renee Gauthier, who I haven't seen in like a bajillion years.
Right.
So funny. It was really fun, and Alex was great, and I just had a good time, you know. And I was up last, so I kind of was working on my act a little bit during people's stuff, but mostly I was just enjoying people, and I hadn't seen any of these guys, you know, any of these comics, so that's always exciting to check in on how other people are handling the Zoom life,
I had a comparable experience. Friday night, I did a show with Blanca Patch.
Oh my God.
And
how's he doing?
he's doing great, and a lot of new stuff. It was just
Yeah.
he had a lot of great new stuff about quarantine and Shane Torres.
Cool.
And so it was a super fun, and shit, I'm spacing the other names. Too many names in my head, because I also did like a weird panel thing, sort of and that was with our comic of the week and with Liz Miley and with
Mealy.
it's Mealy.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Miele. Yeah.
yeah, and Chloe Radcliffe. Radcliffe? Is that right? That's familiar. And Ashley Hairston, who does a lot of voiceover work, but is also a comic. I think New York comic. So
Cool.
these are future comics of the week.
And Abby Wambach, right? Wambach, the soccer player. The screenshot you sent me had a major soccer star in it. I was like, you didn't seem to be aware of that.
No, I did not. I was not. I understand there was some sort of sporting event today.
Soccer game? Oh no! Oh, the Super Bowl. Yes, correct.
Yeah. I didn't catch it. I hope the good guys won. Were there good guys?
No, Tom Brady's team won, and I don't have networked. I don't have regular television, so I'm all streaming. So I can't get the Super Bowl. I'm not going to pay for it. The old days, you turn on channel 3, channel 4. There's a Super Bowl. You kind of could enjoy it as you wanted to, but now I'd have to really go out of my way to do it. And I just
we have rabbit ears. We have HD rabbit ears. And so we get regular television. I mean, half of it's just every immigrant station in the world.
My rabbit ears don't work.
Oh, you have a very nice television. Your HD. You just need an HD rabbit ears. Is what you need. But you don't, because you're fine.
You're solving a problem I thought was already solved by it not existing.
I think you just wrote my autobiography. Solving a problem no one asked you to solve, Cation.
Jackie, I've had at least half a bottle of wine.
Wow. You need me
minimum. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was family night, so it was me, my son, and my son's father. We were playing Uno, and I usually get pretty hammered on family night, as every good mother does.
As every caricature of a wine mom does.
I heard that, I have drunk more in quarantine than I never drink at comedy clubs. I almost never do. I get a little goofy and I want to have all my faculties with me on stage. And then after my set, I usually leave. I don't hang out and drink. So I know some comics are not drinking for the first time in their lives because they're not on stage or they're not out, but I'm actually getting pretty buzzed for the first time in my life consistently because I am not on stage.
Yeah. That's interesting. Mm-hmm. That is weird because
you were making notes. You're trying to cover. I see you stalling for time.
No, I'm organizing an intervention. Is that too soon? Is it too soon for that, or how do we? And I did. I did so many people's podcasts this week.
Yeah.
And a bunch of stand-ups, and I did the writers podcast called Writer's Block.
Mm-hmm.
Guy from Minneapolis, a couple of the younger guys doing and I was a little nervous about it. But Chad Daniels and Carmen Morales have both done it, and because you don't necessarily want to do Joke Machine with anybody, right? Mm-hmm. So, and you don't want to turn your premises over to just
wait, so this is a podcast of your premises you're working on?
Uh-huh. And they punch it up. I think it's behind a paywall, Patreon. But I like the Minneapolis guys, and quite honestly, I came out of it. They were it was actually quite helpful. They had really good angles.
I'm sure it is.
And punched it up quite nicely. But it was I was stodgy going in.
Mhm.
You know, I was, and I've tried a couple of the jokes since, but not. They're all in red. I put them in my notebook in red. This are the ones that I didn't write this shit. No, that's not true. Like they're just angles to try, right? So it's like, entire pages of.
The thing that always worries me about stuff like that, and it's one thing if like you have an existing joke and someone tweaks it to sharpen that joke, right? But I always worry when someone's got a new angle, like where did you get that? Is that from you? Did you accidentally hear that? Am I going to be am I being pushed to do somebody else's joke because you may have heard it and just mangled it up in your head? You know what I mean? That always worries me when
Wait.
it goes off in a totally new direction as opposed to them just tweaking a punchline that you wrote. You know what I mean?
Oh, to be quite honest about it, I was worried that I was writing premises for them. That was my greatest worry about doing the podcast at all. Sort of, because you know how like we all come up with kind of the same premises. There's premises in a row kind of thing. It's in the zeitgeist, it's out in the ether, and we're all kind of talking about the same things. And that's not even topical, right? That's just, for some reason, everybody's talking about Planet of the Apes in 1996, right? I don't know.
Oh my
why.
God, Dana Gould. Yeah.
He started it in 94.
Started it. Oh, did he start it and then other people
I feel like he
took
did.
off? Yeah.
Right.
He was the first one I saw, but it was so thorough. I can't believe anyone else felt
Why
that they
bother?
had to add to it. Yeah.
I believe the word is definitive. And, but but it's kind of like that, like sort of like my Schrodinger's cat premise. There's a bunch of people using that as an analogy, which quite honestly helps me because I don't have to explain it quite so hard. And but the crazy thing is so I mean that was what I was afraid of, is that I'm writing new premises for these guys. Except for that I knew them and other people did it and they said it was swell and they're good guys, and so that was my only concern. Not that, because a couple of the premises are kind of new enough and big enough that and they aren't gelling. The Axel one was the one that I brought them. That is the most sort of fleshed out. And they came up with several, like, whenever I do that joke, I'm always like, what am I doing? I'm always like, what do I want out of this? What do I, where's the, I've got essentially it's arcing, and it's not coming back down to the punchline I needed to land on and crush. And so they just gave me some ideas. Some of them were silly, some of them were smart, but it can't hurt. I could just add to the menagerie in my brain about that bit.
Did you see or pay attention to the Ted Alexandro SNL thing at all today? Did you see that on Twitter?
No, I saw your thing. Was it the guitar thing?
Oh, that's a separate thing.
Okay.
Yeah, so I made a little tweet about guitars not being they must not be that expensive. I didn't reference SNL, but it was because Phoebe Bridgers smashed her guitar, right?
Yeah.
And Peter Frampton responded to my tweet. I was like, what the fuck?
Right.
Yeah. He's like, how many do you need? And I was like, 4. But that ended the interaction. But oh my God.
It was just like, I know, I saw that. And I was like, holy smokes, he's in a band, right? He's a big deal, that guy.
He is Peter Frampton live. He's not in a band, Jackie. He is the band. But
he's himself the band. Okay.
He was following me and I wasn't even following him. I was like, oh, let me correct that immediately. I don't know how that happened.
Right.
But he's done Conan. He's very funny. He's like I was like, he was surprisingly a decent guy. What I've seen him do guest segments and stuff. So that was kind of cool. But so SNL did a Zillow ad where they kind of like likened looking at Zillow to porn, and people were becoming very aroused by looking at houses on Zillow. And it very closely mirrored a Ted Alexandra bit. And he, instantly, like he put up, their clip and then his clip, because it was on a special that was released last year. And he's been doing it before the pandemic, of course, all over New York City, where, who knows who could have heard it and may have lodged in their brain secret, way down there, and then they came up with it later. Or it's in the zeitgeist because everyone's looking at homes because we're all bored and everyone's obsessed with improving this space that they live in because they're in it 24 hours a day. You don't really know. But for Ted, he almost can't do his joke now because the SNL one did so well and it got so much traction that it's like they peed all over it, so it's their thing now.
Right.
Which
Here's the
sucks.
good news. It does suck, but the only good news is he got it on the special first.
Yes, you got the timestamp. Yeah, that is good. But you don't.
And the album.
You can't explain that to people at a comedy club when you're just.
But
usually you get the stretch sign because the check's on all down and you want to do your Zillow bit and you can't because fucking SNL did it. You're fucked. You can't go, folks, I wrote this in 2018, please.
Right. You can't unpack it. Yeah. Yes. You can't unpack the provenance of a fucking joke in the middle of a joke.
Wow, Provenance and Pliny the Younger, back to back, big words and references. Wow. Jackie,
it's a callback to last week. There we go.
But I understand. Like, I don't know if they, I don't know if anyone stole it or they just happen to think of it too. But I understand that feeling as a stand-up because you work a long time to figure out the beats of a chunk, and it's not an instant thing that you do in a week, like I'm SNL does.
Yeah, I'm terrified about the gender sexuality chunk, but
right,
because that's in the zeitgeist.
Yes, it is. I have a thing. That's all. It's also that's the risk we sort of run, I guess, but. It's a bummer. I think it happens to every comic at some point. I replied to Ted, but I had a closer for a long time where I would say the phrase "lady rapist." It was a guy, whatever. You could listen to my album if you want to hear it. But
see Laurie's published work.
Yeah, but I'm in it. I shout "lady rapist," right? And the first episode of 30 Rock had Jane Krakowski saying, I think she did a show or something called Lady Rapist. And I was like, I thought that was pretty unique phrasing. And to hear that, so soon after I was, trotting that bit all over New York, I was like, dang, that's,
it burns.
But you know what? It didn't really, I kept doing the bit and no one came up to me afterwards to say, oh, I heard that on 30 Rock. So it was just a line on 30 Rock, but this thing with SNL was like a bigger piece.
A sketch?
So
was it a sketch?
It was an ad. It was a really well shot ad. So it was like 2 minutes long and it went pretty viral. So yeah, Ted's kind of fucked with that one.
Yeah, but and hopefully it is something that's now in the vault that he doesn't need to go there. So
right,
but it's a drag for sure.
You always deserve to be able to do a bit that's old that you worked really hard on. You have it nailed. You should be able to drag it out anytime you need to, or you feel like it, or maybe you just did 10 minutes that is new and isn't that good, and you need your Zillow porn bit to get the audience back, and now you fucking can't do it. So it kind of sucks, but. Ted's a great comic, so he'll absorb it. And he did get, after he posted his video of the two bits side by side, TMZ, picked up the story. So at least he's getting a little bit of traction that way. Maybe more people will watch his stuff or subscribe to his podcast or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
Those are our times. I was talking to another comic and on social media, and there are just some loud comedians right now that are like sucking up all the oxygen.
I'm gonna need some names, but yes, there is.
Well, it's just here's the thing for us comics that aren't like, we're home every fucking night, right? most nights we would be out doing sets, going over our stuff, filling our head with our act, talking to our friends, having interactions, writing, rewriting, getting mad at ourselves or whatever. You go through everything you go through every night when you go out to do a set, right? Driving, and then there's no room for somebody else's career, or somebody else, you just don't have time to take in everything that everyone else is doing, all your other comedy friends or enemies or nemesises or whatever. And now most of us don't have anything else to do but to see people, pop up on Twitter with this thing or that thing. And you just go, oh, fuck, is this what comedy is turning into? It's just like, who's the loudest, whose Patreon is dragging the most people to it. And people are chasing that money, which is totally understandable because you need some income. But it's weird how comedy it feels like it's being yanked into these directions that have very little to do with getting laughs on stage.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Almost nothing. I mean, it's what I almost finished saying about Tiff Stevenson. She's essentially doing, and so's Josh. Actually, Josh from Flappers.
Josh Snyder.
Yeah, at Nerdy Virgin, you guys. But essentially, they're doing 1 minute TikToks where they're just talking into the thing. They're not posting stand-up set stuff. I mean, I guess I'm but yeah, I haven't been following anybody's career. Sometimes I heard Shane Torres on the show I did with him the other night was talking about how he got a Netflix thing has picked up, I think, a show for him. And then I went up right after him and I said something kind of snarky.
Sure, you got to. Hey, you got to.
No, I don't. But I did. And then so I had to DM him afterwards and go, hey, it wasn't that bad, but it wasn't necessary. Because I didn't belittle what he got.
Yeah.
But I was just like, but I said something and it wasn't, because I am not paying attention to anybody else's career. But you're right. When I did the road and when I was working all the time out, I didn't even have to try to not follow people's careers.
Yeah.
It was just natural.
Yeah. I just
I don't know that. I don't know that person.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I know that guy.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
what I meant.
Typo.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, if we weren't if we had more to do, we wouldn't be freaking out about other shit. I guess that's what I'm saying.
Oh, I know.
And other people's whatever they're getting in their career and all that stuff now. It's the thing is like when you finish a set and you have new stuff that's working, nothing else bothers you. It's like, okay, so I don't have a special, but maybe I will because I've got this new shit. So you have this incredible optimism, which is, based not on any kind of reality or common sense, but who cares? It feels good.
It's just based on coming off stage and knowing that you did comedy well.
Yes. And so we're not getting that.
Nope.
We're not getting that. And
certainly not every night.
And Zoom is okay, but it's Zoom, it's good enough, but no, we're not getting what we need. And we're on our 11th month of this shit. And it's really fucking hard. And comics should just know that, like it's what we're going through, the not performing. And, everything's hard for everybody right now, but ours is a peculiar kind of difficult. And I don't know, everyone should
very
fucking be easy on themselves.
Right. Cut yourself some slack because the 11th month of this is, but I will say it does sort of remind me, like Zoom shows are good. They're fine for what they are. And, there's good ones, there's mediocre, there's bad. And had a Zoom bomber the other day. Again, this is the second one in like 3 weeks.
At your show or just
not at my show? Not my show. My show hasn't had any Zoom bombers, but you remember in the back when I used to do one-nighters and weekend rooms, right?
Yeah.
And I was grinding it out,
Mhm.
doing these one-nighters and weekend rooms. I would meet these headliners who did not get that sense of joy off the stage. When they came off stage, it was because the road had kind of ground them down.
Oh yeah, of course.
You know
Especially if
those,
they're headliners, they've been doing that for a long time. The
and
feature, you have that kind of, hey, I hope I have 30 minutes kind of energy that's exciting, like
yeah,
when you
it's the
do.
sweet spot, even if it's a
Yes,
two-person gig. Yeah,
right.
yeah, and it was and some of the people who had it the worst were the ones who were trying to stay clean for TV in the
Oh
early
God,
90s.
right.
Remember
Oh
those
my God.
guys?
Yeah, I dated guys like that. I dated a comic like that who was
Oh.
very focused on being clean. And I mean, he was. It's really hard. I stopped trying very, very, very quickly. And it may have hurt
Yeah.
my career. I don't know. At that time, because you did have to be super clean to get on
Right.
TV.
There was the tail end of that. You had to be super clean to get on TV, and
Right.
you had to show that you could do it. And then all of a sudden, for some reason, television executives were like, "Oh, their brains are attached to their mouths. If we tell them not to swear when they go on television, they won't." And
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, it was very flattering. Um,
yeah.
hey, let's do a break, like Max Fun,
Okay.
and then we should do comic of the week, who is Nancy Norton.
Yay, Nancy.
Yes, who I have met off and on over the years, and she mostly does corporates, and she does clean corporates, and but not squeaky.
That's hard to do. That is
Right.
hard to do.
Right, but she tells them, she's like, these are adult topics, and the fact that I'm angry about things, and
Really?
or yeah, she's
Yeah.
she's like she gives them degrees. She's like, here's G, family friendly. Is that what you want? And then I'm sure she's like, okay. And then there's PG, and then there's R, and then there's whatever.
Yeah.
Because like a lot, like the corporates that we're all doing right now, we ask them, like I'll ask them what they want, and they're like, well, not too many fucks. And you're like, what just happened? Okay. That doesn't seem, but Nancy Norton, and it's Nancy Norton _TV.
Mhm.
And she has a dry bar out. She's got a, speaking of quickie.
Oh, cool.
So
That's like that's a great thing for super clean comics, is dry bar. There's
Right.
not that many super clean comics. I'm just thinking of somebody who would murder if he did a dry bar. That's a tough thing to do.
I think this kid did one.
Wait.
Remember, that's only his first name. I can't remember his last name.
Okay, that
But,
really didn't narrow it down. That's all. You almost typed Josh. Okay. Oh, I think I know who you're talking about.
See,
Yeah.
there you go. You get a little kid. Yeah, and but he's actually squeaky clean and super silly funny. Like smart, silly, funny,
Yeah.
and clean is kind of ideal. Like Tommy Ryman has one, Rontowski has one, Karen Rontowski has one. Yeah.
I think the people that are squeaky clean, that's sort of their essence anyway. Like I kind of feel like you got to figure out why you're on stage, and some people, that's who they are anyway. So it's okay,
Yeah.
It's
Like,
not a
and
struggle.
I
Like
can-
it
I
was
can
a
do
struggle
clean.
for me.
You think you couldn't do a squeak?
Oh, I could, but it's not fun. Let me put it that way. It's not fun because part of me, the fun is trying to get away with stuff, and and I can be clean. We've had this discussion where you're technically clean, but it's I can do like clean abortion jokes and clean rape jokes. I mean, technically they're clean, but no one wants to hear that at a corporate.
Speaking of sponsorship,
Oh, maybe
Like a
they want a little
pro.
more distance between that
We
conversation.
know what they
that
signed up for.
and quite honestly, I'm excited to talk about the one. Let me read the copy
Okay.
because I'm excited about my thing. Guess what, you guys? You know who's a sponsor and you can get a deal? It's Green Chef. Green Chef is the first USDA certified organic meal kit company.
Yeah.
Whether you're keto, paleo, vegan, vegetarian, or just looking to eat healthier, there's a range of recipes to suit any diet or preference.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have to say the recipes are quick and easy with step-by-step. There's photos. It's like a Denny's
Yeah.
menu.
Mhm.
Instructions, chef tips, and photos to guide you along. The ingredients come pre-measured, perfectly proportioned, and mostly prepped, so you can spend less time stressing and more time enjoying delicious home-cooked meal. And not to like a lot of things are in baggies, and so it's not everything's individual, but it's not like heavy-duty plastics aren't used.
Yeah,
It's,
most of it's recyclable, and I still stress anyway, but I stress about other stuff. So
yeah.
I'm enjoying the cooking, and I'm thinking about other people's careers. So you can keep this same amount of stress, but apply it to other parts of your life.
I made this last week and it was
Yum.
out. It was, I think the thing is I never buy ground beef. So the fact that they're going to send me beef patties
Yes.
with a
Yeah.
cream chimichurri. And so it's sauteed kale and bell pepper with cheese and a mango radish salsa, but it's beef patties with a chimichurri. And I think I got the keto gluten free. Just because I've been kind of trying different ones because
Yeah.
I will eat anything. I fear no food. And so this one, it was delicious. I will say. And I like that they usually, almost always, they put all the spices. Like sometimes they say Peruvian spice mix. And
Mhm.
then I have to go to the web and say, what would be in a Peruvian spice mix besides obviously cumin? And
Is that obvious?
well, it is when you taste it and you're like, I love cumin. Thanks.
Okay.
And but anyway, Green Chef is outstanding. And I don't know
Listen,
where.
our family dinner tonight was Green Chefs. We did 2 of them, and again, like it's like you said, it's ingredients I wouldn't normally buy. I'm so basic and so unimaginative when it comes to food, and we had a meal like 2 weeks ago that had mushrooms in it, and I was like, oh my God, but it was good. It was good. Somehow they figured me out, and whatever the little sauces were, it didn't feel like mushrooms.
Right, 'cause you're not
So
mushroom
stuff like
people.
yeah, stuff like that happens in a Green Chef meal. And, my son is cooking and he's getting more confidence during the day. When he's doing the Green Chef stuff, he cooks it, and then he's starting to cook his own stuff at lunch. So that's, it's turning him into a man that could take care of himself.
Right, an adult human. I am
Mhm.
not seeing. I forget what the extension is.
Oh, it should be a Jackie and Laurie, but let me grab it. Doo-doo-doo-doo.
Should we edit this dead time out
Yeah,
a
no,
little bit?
I'll clean this up,
Okay,
sorry.
cool.
Oh, they didn't give. Oh, there. Okay, it's on the other page. It's the only thing on the second page. I will fix this up. And so
Okay.
there it is. And
There we go. You want to read that?
Go to greenchef.com/90 Jackie Laurie. Oh, that's a new one, I think. And use the code. It's not?
No, yeah, you're right.
Yes.
Because
We were
it's
agreeing.
90 on the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, and use the code 90 Jackie Laurie to get $90 off, including free shipping. That's greenchef.com/90 Jackie Laurie. Imagine having 90 Jackie and Laurie's at your house. That's how amazing this will be. And code 90 Jackie Laurie for $90 off.
And you can pick any kind of the kinds of foods, and it's actually very simple. And if you don't like to cook, you will actually like to do this. Quite honestly, I really
It gives you cooking confidence. It does.
Yeah. Ooh, cooking confidence. So, what else is happening?
Chris Estrada got a series.
woo!
Yeah.
He's like, I called him the West Coast Josh Gondelman because everyone likes him. No one has a bad word to say about him.
Because he's the greatest.
And he's funny and he's nice. And he's like
Good.
a guy I would run into at gigs. I'm like, why the fuck is this guy not famous, working everywhere?
Damn
Yeah.
Every
right.
time I see him, he's got new stuff, and it's a unique point of view, and he's a nice person.
Worth every
And
dime.
It worked. It's happening. Like good stuff happened to a good comic who's a good person, and that's always exciting.
Hell yeah.
Right. That's great.
Yeah, I think Fred Armisen is behind it, so it seems like it's got like the right people you want behind it to make it at least get a
Interesting.
season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and well done, because I mean, the thing is there with Fred Armisen behind it, it can be nicely weird and it'll be fun
Yeah.
because
Mhm.
he is a quirky dude, and that will help.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's outstanding. You got anything? You got anything else?
I'm taping the debaters for Canadian
Oh, yeah.
television on Thursday.
Mhm.
We have a tech rehearsal tomorrow. This week I have off. I have this morning I wrote for 30 minutes. It's really
there you go.
I'm having a very difficult time writing. And I didn't have this difficult a time on previous book ideas, maybe because they were more specific. It wasn't so, a novelist sort of wandering around in your head. But also just always being in this house and never, it's different when you're like, okay, I have to leave the house at 8 a.m. So if I want to do anything in the morning, it's got to be between 7 and 7, whatever. Having a hard schedule to work around is actually quite helpful. And everything just feels so blurry. I'm just having a hard time.
I was talking to someone about this, about how, the first 3 months of the quarantine, I spent a fair amount of time reminding myself to live in the moment, to be, to make sure there was some structure to my day, and to do these things. And I think it's just sort of fatigue at this point. But I will say, because at around 5 or 6 months, I feel, and we could go back and listen to these shows.
No.
That's not happening. I know it. But I feel like I was in a really good place, where I feel like I was getting stuff done, and
you were preparing for your album. You had a distinct goal in mind, and
I had a date. Yeah.
Yes,
and now,
you had dates,
and
you had gigs lined up and stuff like that. Yes.
And I have since then completely and entirely, I told my agent, I'm not booking it till I get the vaccine. I'm not booking out. And so I don't know what to do. But I do have new material, and I do have a shit ton of software to learn how to use. And I actually have an idea about the LED the LED store. Kind of, I was like, because I've always wanted to kind of write like a mystery or a detective novel. And who doesn't want that set behind a dirtbag LED Valley?
Oh yeah.
Like, just because there are 2 blocks on Van Nuys Boulevard in Van Nuys that it doesn't matter what they put there, they go out of business. It is right by the courthouse. It's like even pawn shops and bail bonds go out of business there.
Jackie, there is no Armenian detective literature, as far as I know, happening in America right now.
You are wrong.
Oh.
There is a cozy mystery series written by a woman whose last name is Cation.
Really? Oh.
It isn't okay. And it's all like puns on hummus and shish kebab.
God.
It's like, yeah, why don't you look that up, Kyle? Why don't you do that? Cation Cozy Mystery. And
there's a writer named Laura Kilmartin. Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. There's so few Kilmartins. Hardly any of us have accomplished anything. And the 2 that almost have the same first name.
Right. It is, you leaning in, Kyle? Or what do you?
Yeah, because hummus and homicide, stabbed in the baklava, one feta in the grave, on the lamb, and mistletoe, moussaka, and murder.
Oh my God, Jackie, you have to reclaim your family name. This is a crime.
That's 5 books they're ahead of you, Jackie. We got to get this going.
That is a crime. Oh my God.
Somebody asked me if it was me under another.
What's her first name?
Tina.
Right, like I would only
hide. Sorry, she sounds like one of your sisters. Tina goes right with Jackie and Darla. It's the third girl in the family. Oh my God.
No. But Stabbed in the Baklava is, I remember when I first saw all the titles, I laughed. I teared up a little bit. It was so funny because it was so fucking dumb.
One feta in the grave is pushing it pretty hard.
Oh my my God.
They start with the
I'm
same
starting
letter
to
as
really
both.
like her. And Jackie, she's definitely related to you. There's no way she's not related.
The mini muffin mysteries, the mini muffin murder mysteries are another one. There's a bunch of like weird food, women, detective, and it's so I finished the Dashiell Hammett book, and now I'm rereading some Nicholas Blake, and I'll go back and I'll reread some Raymond Chandler. But I really liked there's a bunch of newer women mystery writers, not the cozy. They're not cozy mysteries. I'm not that much into it. I did like the reimagining of Sherlock Holmes as a woman, a sort of a spectrumy woman in Victorian times,
Okay.
written by Sherry Thomas, called A Study in Scarlet.
Hmm.
A Study in Scarlet Women, because it's an actual play on a Sherlock Holmes book. A Study in Scarlet might be the name of the Sherlock Holmes book. Whatever. Scarlet Woman, Sherry Thomas. First book is great. Third book is amazing. Second and fourth book, just okay. Like the second one. Fourth one, about to reread. It's a great story.
A lot of
Gonna stop now.
information there.
Yeah, too much.
I-
Anyway, but I think I think I might write a hard-boiled detective novel, but
I
I don't
like it.
know. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I bought cryptocurrency.
Oh, did you?
Not much. Yes, there's a
Where do you
apparently
bury
there's a
that?
pack of comics that are day trading, and one of them was like, you gotta get XRP. You gotta get XRP. So I got a
What's
little
XRP?
bit of XRP.
Is that a
and I
kind of
immediately lost
Bitcoin?
$50. Yeah, it's a cryptocurrency, but it's something you got to hold on to because apparently they're under investigation by the SEC. But if the case breaks their way, then it's nonstop profits, Jackie.
Yes. Fantastic.
Yeah, I bought just a little bit for fun because
Yeah.
I just don't. I'm a very conservative person that way. I feel like it's all a trick, and it seems like a trick after this whole GameStop Reddit thing. It just seems like a game that if you are awake 20 hours a day and you're constantly tracking that shit, you can maybe game it. But if you're not, you're just gonna get fucked.
I know a guy. I haven't seen him in years. We're still
Mhm.
Facebook friends. He used to do stand-up. Very funny guy.
Mhm.
He had one of those weird anxiety. He had to stop doing stand-up because he couldn't do it sober. Or
I
he
think
could
is
do
that
it
called
sober.
alcoholism?
No.
Or is that called
Or
a weird anxiety?
It's a weird anxiety. Alcoholism is just when you start drinking, you can't stop. That's
Oh, okay.
alcoholism.
Okay.
You never know how many drinks you're going to have once you start drinking.
Oh.
And that's alcoholism. And when you try to stop, you can't stop.
Okay.
So but what Brian's problem is he either had to be drunk or high to do stand up, or he would do it sober and then go throw up. He had like a crazy ass anxiety thing with it. He was
Wow.
what he ended up being was a very funny writer and a day trader. He was a day trader, and he would make like a shit ton of money and then not work for like a year, and then have to work to get a nest egg back so he could day trade again. So he was also a roofer.
Oh my God.
Like an installer guy. He would install
Right.
windows and doors and work on roofs and construction stuff. Get a little nest egg, turn that 10 or 12 grand into 200 grand, and then take a year off.
That
And
sounds like a tough way to live in a
you know
weird
what? In the
way.
end, it kind of also sounds like alcoholism. I'm not sure. Let's
Jackie,
take a
you
break.
tried so hard to give him
damn.
every benefit of the doubt.
Let's take a break here and ponder that.
All right.
And we're back, ladies and germs. I said germs.
Wow. Well, you know what? We're in our 5th year of having discussions. It's gonna happen. It's bound to happen, Jackie.
It's bound to happen. It's true. It's I am jonesing. You know what I'm kind of jonesing is just some downtime from the tech scramble that I've been doing this week. Because it did not, like, I literally had a stress dream the night before last where and it was the repetition of posting those videos, except for that it was manifested in my dream with dishes. I kept breaking dishes. Moving the dish from the counter to the water, I would occasionally slip and one would fall. From the water to rinse it off, occasionally it would fall and break. From the rinsing it off into the tray, fall and break. And it was one of those loop dreams where it just kept, and I would wake up and I'd be like, stop having this stupid ass stress dream. It's not even true. And then I'd go, and so it was a terrible night of not falling asleep a lot.
I have not had many dreams at night or just personally in my life. I do miss going to New York.
Yeah.
You know, JetBlue's not even operating out of Burbank right now. It's like I miss that part, that little weekend part of my life where I'd like take the 9:30 flight out, from Burbank,
Right.
and I wouldn't have to leave my house till like 8 to 9:15 or something, because I was 10
and
minutes
you would
away.
bitch about it, but it was just, but it was like I literally remember 5 months ago
Yeah.
when I actually was when they first built this garage room. I was
Yeah.
in there listening to the airport mix being
The
bored.
airport mix? What's
Yeah,
that?
like on my phone. I was just listening. I was sitting in this room being bored, listening to the airport mix playing Marvel Puzzle Quest, essentially like LARPing out, sitting at LAX.
Wow.
It was pretty grim. And but I miss the
hustle.
travel. Yeah.
Yes. It's
Oh,
fun.
there's still plenty of hustle.
But it's fun. Like last night, Saturday night, I'm a stand-up comic, and what am I doing? I'm watching 5 hours of the Great British Bake Off. I don't fucking care about these people or their food. I don't know what they're making. It's all rabbit stew. It's shit I will never eat. Every once in a while they have a croissant I would eat, but everything else has fruit in it. They mix awful foods together, and I'm still just watching it, and tweeting, and I'm like, this isn't how I want to spend a Saturday night ever. I fucking hate this. It's like being home on New Year's Eve, but it's happening every single night,
I actually like being home on New Year's Eve. But I know what you mean in the way that I would like to travel again. I would like to gather with people without masks and just be irritated by crowds once again. I would love that. How great would it just to have to sort of shoulder my way through a crowd again, huh? Let's live for it.
Do you feel like what's it going to be like to get work after this? Like, is it going to be harder to get work? Like we have said, privately on our chat room, but it just seems like the clubs that are working that are up are only booking male headliners. It's like ridiculous. And
that's because there aren't any.
There are some women that are working. Like, right. On the one hand, everything should be shut down. Let's just end it. But if you are open, why are you only booking male headliners?
Because they're not, I told these two people, the two women that I know,
yes,
who are willing to go on the road.
Yeah.
And both of them were like, "Oh, I don't know them." And I'm like, they have a lot of credits and videos.
This is a great way to get to know them, since you only have 7 people in your audience anyway. What a great way to audition new blood for your not just new to you, not new to comedy. Jesus.
Yeah, and
oh my God, they would both murder in every single room.
In every room. And I was like, there's absolutely no reason. I mean, I'm not telling you to book someone who has 7 weeks on the gig.
Yes. Yeah.
People that are 20 years in.
Yeah.
So they'll do the job. You'll like them. I even think that they would like them.
Yeah, I do too. It just makes me worry that it's going to be worse when everything does open back up again.
They say that this has set back sort of women's rights a fair amount, and women's
yeah, women are losing their jobs way more than men, or women are going, all right, I'll stay home and take care of the kids. And so it's setting women back a lot. I don't know if that transfers. I don't know if anything work related in normal jobs transfers to stand-up comedy. I mean, it doesn't in terms of women's rights, because it's not like we can sue to a club to make them hire more women, but you could sue, you could sue an industry or a company for sexism, but you can't do that in a club. You just have to, figure out a way to get the club owner to like you, or I don't know.
I think that will continue, and whether or not, I mean, I do think that there has been some strides, quite honestly, in sort of in women's rights and in women's and expectations in the last. Kamala helps, and
I hope,
and Twitter helps.
What do you think about us, because we were sort of outspoken about, say, Jeffrey Ross or Brian Callen? Is that going to hurt our ability to get working clubs that still work those guys?
Not Rich Miller's club. His club closed.
You know what I heard? I heard that it's being brought back by the helium guy. Yes. Yeah. So like this is like becoming a chain that doesn't work us, and he seems to keep growing and grabbing more clubs. And what can we do? Are we supposed to just not be comedians anymore because this one club owner doesn't like us? And he, I don't know.
No. I mean, I was told this very early on, and I still believe it, whether or not you believe it or whether or not anyone. What it manifests, what that will look like is, if I can consistently make a room full of people laugh, there will be work for me.
Yeah.
I believe that.
Is it always going to be I think that's true.
Is it always going to be the A rooms? No. I mean, I don't know what it's going to be. Like what it's going to manifest. The good thing about me, I will say this, is that I am willing to do the work. Right? I'm willing. And so are you. You're just like, you will show up if there is a stage time. If what's left is Ventura Comedy Club, and you're like, hey Randy, can I get a 20? And he's like,
they're doing outdoor shows, I guess, right?
Someone said they were doing it. Didn't Kira say she was doing one?
I think so. I think she did one. Yeah. And what did they have to clap with? I forget. It wasn't clappers like.
Oh shit! It was cowbells.
On the one hand, no. On the other hand, can I do a set there? Like, I want to do a set in front of an audience that has to respond with cowbells. Jackie, it's a once in a lifetime. You got to do it.
We are living in once in a lifetime times, my friends, and that's fine. Yes, I would do it, of course. Yeah. So I don't know, but so and then Aparna, I booked Aparna for 2 Comic of the Week shows months from now. I believe she's doing
a show 2 months from now. Yes.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward.
Aparna's like, wait, I'm not doing 2 of your shows.
And I'm very much looking forward to it. And I did a podcast called Panic Attacks or Panic. This was a podcast with 2 guys in New York.
Okay.
And we talked about how we deal with pain, and that I did this morning. So if you guys want to realize how I'm handling the stress of being alive in these timeless, unseemly times, it's just, quite honestly, it just feels like a different grind that I'm used to, right? So I'm still grinding it out. But it is not the grind I'm used to, and I'm not making the money that I was making.
No, of course not.
So there's some anxiety there too.
And there's also, my anger at the percentage of the population that is blowing this off and extending it because they don't do the right thing, they don't mask, or they don't stay home. And the comics that do that, or the comics are like, oh, this is bullshit. Well, maybe I'll forget it. Maybe I won't care, in a year from now when everything's we're all working again. Maybe it's just, I'm glad to be working and I'm not going to be mad at, this person or that person. But like right now, it just feels like there's like people that are comics that are doing the right thing, and then comics that are just being shitty and,
Which is so
proudly
funny.
shitty. At least I don't mind someone sneaking. At least if you're sneaking, I get it. You're doing your sneaky shows that people had to be invited to. Okay, fine. But like proudly, I had COVID last week. Come see me headline this week. What the fuck are you doing? Damn, it's really disappointing. And I loved it when I didn't know much about other comedians.
Right. We didn't when there was no 24-hour internet, you would just hear about kind of shitty comics and shitty behavior, and you'd be like, but you would forget. Like you would only remember when you saw their headshot at the next club you were working at.
And then it's like maybe it's a rumor and
and if you never see them in real life, you only see their headline. Remember that guy? He was always drunk, and he had to be sort of cleaned up by the feature. It was
do you have a name? What city is he from?
And so I'm writing that's all I got. You know that guy, right?
Yes, hold on.
But he would get so fucked up.
Yes.
And I know women
That's
comics
his first name, right?
Yeah, that's his first. No, that is his first name.
Yes.
And,
okay.
So he would get so fucked up. I heard that you had to, like, he would wet himself and stuff, and you had to kind of do whatever you were willing to do to clean him up. And I know women featured for him who went too far with the cleaning up. And then he would ask him to like blow him or jerk him off or something. And they're like, no, I was being a decent. And so these were the rumors I would hear in the 90s about this guy.
Yeah.
And then you were like, oh, and then and now I've met him now twice.
Yeah.
Every time I play That City, he comes to the show, and I'm always like, I can't hang out with you. I don't have time to make this into it. And he's always like, do you guys want to go somewhere for drinks or something? I'm like, no, I don't want to.
Well, yeah, but you don't go for drinks. Thank God you're an alcoholic and you can tell people I don't go for drinks. You've got that built in. That's your version of I have a kid back at the hotel room. I have to get back to my son.
Right. Except for I never do tell anyone that I don't drink, because I always think it makes me feel less cool. I only tell the thousands of listeners we have.
I think so many comics are sober now. It makes you the coolest.
True.
Well, I know I'm super cool. When I think of cool,
think of Jackie-cation.
I'm wearing
Tina-cation, let's be honest.
Look at this. I'm wearing my AT-ATs in Love shirt that was given to me, I believe, in Seattle.
Okay.
I'm still wearing this shirt.
We're at an hour, right?
We are
Kyle?
aggressively at an hour. We can go.
Okay.